I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lassiter.
Here.
Demchek.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Moody.
Here.
Nehammer.
Here.
Forum present.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, we have the consent agenda. The purpose of the consent agenda is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item or items on the consent agenda be removed and placed as the last item under new business to receive full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. We have two items. A, approve the August 8th, 2023 regular meeting minutes as presented. And item B, approve the fire department's air pack testing purchase order contract to Summit Fire for $32 a bottle with a $50 truck charge for a total not to exceed $1,330. Commissioners or anyone in the public have a question or would like any of these items pulled? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. We're going to adjust the agenda just a bit and move the introduction of new staff members up before citizen comment. So, or you can take it.
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mayor. We have three new members of our staff who have joined us since the last city commission that we'd like to introduce to the commission and to the public today. And I'm going to have the respective department heads do the specific introductions. So I turn it over, if I could please, to Scott and Chris.
Sure. Scott?
Thank you, Mayor. Jennifer, we're happy to welcome Jennifer as our new assistant planner. She started on August 7th. She has a master's degree in urban and regional planning and is a professional planner certified by the American Institute of Planning. She comes to us from the Networks Northwest, where she worked in a lot with a lot of the communities in the region and our friends over in Charlevoix. And so we're happy to have her, and she has been doing a great job so far, and we look forward to a great future.
Thank you. Happy to be here and look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. Go ahead, Kathy.
Thank you.
Jessica.
Sure. So I am really excited to introduce Sandy Willis. She joined our team on July 31st. She's a retired U.S. Army veteran. So thank you for that service. She previously worked for Little Traverse Bay, Odawa Indians at Harbor Springs for 12 years, but she held numerous positions, most recently though in their county for that. So, yeah, we're just excited to have her.
Hello, my name is Naomi. I'm originally from Gaylord, but like she said, I was in the military and worked for the government. So I've been all over the world. Pleasure meeting you and meeting people, so many names and faces. So give me a little leeway, but I'll get one. Nice to meet everybody.
Well, good. Good morning.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Jennifer Eads. Jennifer, she's behind the camera right there, sitting next to Jane. Jennifer has 2 associate's degrees and a lot of experience in being an administrative assistant and also in human resources. And we'll put her right to work. She started on the same day as the other Jennifer did on August 7th as well. And she went with mostly Commissioner Malone, but she came with us to the Mayor's Exchange in Sault Ste. Marie as well too. She's already been helping us with a number of IT items around the offices, dealing with some of our phone systems and computer issues, and working on some minor updates to the existing website and do something more substantial. So we're very glad to have Jennifer with us. Jennifer.
I'm pretty excited to start here. We're fairly new to the area. We've been here for 2 years. I'm looking forward to learning more about the city.
Thank you. Thanks.
Welcome us in.
You must get tremendous coverage, Jennifer.
We'll watch that, we start hearing it, we might just have to turn the basket off.
Okay, welcome to you all. Okay, moving on. We have citizens' comments on non-agenda items. So if anyone in the audience wants to address the city commission, now's the time. I ask you to move to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes to speak, and Jessica will be keeping track of the time. So is there anyone?
Good afternoon. I'm here today to discuss two issues.
Please state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pam Manning, 301 Bay Street. I'm here to discuss two issues in particular today. Jim, I think mentioned one already that I had on the list. Last meeting, I was on Zoom listening to the meeting, and the video was pretty good, but the audio was fairly poor the majority of the time. I don't know if it's different on Facebook versus Zoom, but I was on Zoom. So I don't know if something needs to be tweaked a little bit, or, and like you said, the size of the room, sometimes I understand can impact, you know, the integrity of your audio equipment. So I don't know how you go about addressing that, but I think, you know, a fair amount of people would prefer to be able to listen to your meetings on Zoom if they're not available to be here, as opposed to just reading about it afterwards in the minutes. And then the second issue I have is the long-standing bubbler issue that we have in Boyne City. I just wanted to ask you a question. If anybody, I think, Mr. King, are you involved in developing this ordinance?
Mainly our planning director, Scott McPherson.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm just curious if you guys have actually contacted the city or the townships that have these ordinances in the state or outside of the state, and talked to them in particular about if their ordinances are addressing the same issues we want addressed, and if it's been effective. Because I don't see any point in just researching something and assuming it's effective for them when we don't personally know that. I just wondered if we've had any contact with those cities or townships.
Scott, you, no. The city has a city attorney. He mentioned that he had reviewed several ordinances. Do you know if he had any contact with?
I do not know if you contacted them or not.
Okay, I think that's something important, just not assuming an ordinance someplace is working. Actually to contact them. There's no use making an ordinance here if it's not effective. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, Jackie Lloyd, 919 Lower Lake Drive, Boyne City. Lived here, what, 3 years now, permanently, been here since 1960. At 2 particular homes on the water. Have a lot of history here, and so do the people inside us, as well as some of you. I used to walk on this ice from Lower Lake Drive, and I used to walk it all the way to Boyne Beach. I remember my mom saying, "Don't you go over that drop off." You can't do that anymore. We have a right, the public has a right to use navigable waters in the state of Michigan. Bubblers restrict us in the winter. We can't, these children are gonna drown. No one uses the public access anymore on Lower Lake Drive. I walked down Bay Street the other day since I can remember, probably in the 70s, whenever the first bubbler went in. They have public access between what I call the old Kruger House and the Schreiber House, the public access. There is no use there. We are restricting all those children up in those homes up above from being able to use the ice. They can't use it. And I'm really disappointed. I think we need a ban. We just had a house sell, rumor on the street, on Bay Street. Yes, I don't know. They're promoting a permanent time. And these docks, they're very expensive, I understand these people want to protect them. But at what cost? We're taking away the rights of the citizens that give public trust. They cannot use the ice anymore. I don't know how we, as a city, are proud of it. We need to ban these bubblers. There's only 4 of them on our northern shores. I'm not aware of any parameters that are in residential. And I'm only talking residential. All the people from the arenas came, I could barely hear it all. You know, like I said, I was cooped up with COVID and I couldn't get up here. And it's just so disappointing to me that we are allowing this to happen. There's liability issues. When I have company up, nobody can walk on the beach. I watch fishermen come to public access and can't get on the water. It's so disappointing, and not to say people, and I've been documenting the lake for like 3 years now. When I'm here, I've documented so many times, and there's so much open water. And you know, we have a lot of problems with the Great Lakes and losing their ice. Well, there are environmental impacts of it. Research it. It's ice depletion. Well, we're causing it on our shorelines right now. There's sediment that's picked up by these bubblers. What's their problems here? Has anybody studied any of that? What are our children swimming in around where these bubblers are? I don't know what industries existed in this town years ago. So we need to start looking at this. These bubblers are benefiting 4 people on our lake right now in the Boyne City residential district. And it's affecting our whole town, it's affecting our tourism. And I just think it's a crying shame. I just don't understand that we aren't banning these things. And we are going to get more permanent docks. The state of Michigan will approve them, and they need to be bubbled. So we need to regulate that. And by permitting them, first of all, the first 2 on our northern western shore here are wets right between that public access. I don't know if you're gonna permit those. Then you've eliminated everybody in the city that wants to use that public access. It's been eliminated since I think around the 70s. And Lower Lake, when you start seeing, you say, how far off can we affect the ice? And I guess you guys said 5 feet. I didn't understand all that, but who's going to measure that? Are we all, as citizens of the city, have to pay for all that? Put it on the people who want the permanent tax. Let them pay for all of this. But I sure don't feel safe going out there. This is common sense, you guys. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, I'm Paula Russo. I live at 612 West Michigan Ave. And I am also here to just describe a little bit of our loss that's occurred with the loss of the ice on the shoreline. I bet there are many of you who enjoy snowmobiling and the ice fishing that used to occur so easily just right off people's front. From their front yards, they could pull their ice sheeting out. They could get their snowmobiles and all of their winter activities could take place right in front of their home. And it was a play. I also recall in the past there were so many more winter activities. I don't know if there's ice boat racing anymore, but I remember it from the past. There were fishing contests, but you know, so. As Jackie said, with just so few homes benefiting, I have noticed myself, the whole shoreline from what we call Miller's Marina, where it pulls out of that whole bay is now at risk of not having the ice. And it's mixed. And I'll just suggest that while it's a problem we can solve. I know that they have been banned in other places, and I hope it wasn't because something drastic happened. I hope we can have the foresight to just manage our winter activities on our beautiful ice. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We've got the ordinance will return to the city commission at the September 12th meeting. Is that the current schedule?
Yes, that agreement, anticipated.
Yeah, I wasn't here for the last conversation in regards to the bubbler ordinance and that. Does this governing body have the authority to ban bubblers?
From the ordinances that I've seen, it looks like it's possible, yeah.
Would that, affect the bubblers that are already in place? Would those be grandfathered in with permits that have been issued to the state of Michigan, Eagle on that?
It depends on your ordinance, right, but there's potential to ban them or potential to rent out.
Would it be possible, Scott, to get an answer to that question, if it is possible, for the city of Indiana?
Sure.
They have that information. Any other thoughts, Commissioner, on the comments? Okay, thanks. Moving on, we have correspondence. There's an item from Consumers Energy, a notice of a hearing that's included in the commission packet. Anything else, Jessica? Now we have the city manager's report, right?
Well, we introduced 3 new people to you today and have a 4th one joining us on September 5th. Jessica has hired a new deputy treasurer. His name is Jacob Duncan. He's a lifelong Boyne City resident. And his start date is September 5th. He comes to us with a 9-year banking background. Is currently working at one of our local banks here in Boyne City. Jessica has worked with him previously in the past and is confident that he'll be a great addition to our team here, and we look forward to introducing him at an upcoming meeting. Since our last meeting, all the city's gravel streets have received their second and what we're anticipating will be the last dust control treatment for the summer season. The city's 2 bridges, those are the ones on Lake and Park Streets, passed their regular inspections recently, and those are checked. We had to hire an engineer to check those on a regular basis. It's the findings of the Michigan Department of Transportation. The loose blocks from the damaged fire hall garage door have been reseeded. We're currently seeking and Chief has received one that provided this morning proposals to finish the repairs not only to that door but also to strengthen the mounts for the other doors as well. For their springs to reduce the chances of this happening again. So I anticipate that will probably come to the city commission at our next meeting. On Friday, last Friday, the 18th, just before 10:30, fire was called in at the 911 for a house under construction on Lakeshore Drive here in Boyne City. Boyne City personnel began arriving within a few minutes of the call, and the police department following shortly thereafter. We also received additional support from East Jordan Fire Department, our own EMS, and the Charlevoix County Sheriff's Department. Also deployed, which is I thought might make this interesting for the commission and for the public to help fight the fire, was the drone that our Boyne City Police Department brought. It's one of the 2 that we currently have on loan from Boyne State University. I happened to be out there on the scene, was able to witness how the drone flew above the scene and delivered real-time infrared aerial image and was able to light the actual areas on the structure that needed attention to the firefighters. And with that, helped them deploy their personnel and equipment to best contain and ultimately put out the fire. As a result, the fire was contained to the attached garage with little damage to the unoccupied house. So the end result of everybody working together and with the equipment we had available was that the home was safe and nobody was injured. So we thought it was a pretty good result. The police department is anticipating starting a new social media presence shortly. It will be led by Assistant Chief Dan Mercer and will help communicate to the community on items of importance related to the police department. This will be in addition to and in coordination with the city's other information outlets. Notice the Veterans Memorial Committee is currently flying the 23 star U.S. flag, which debuted in 1820 after the addition of 2 states to the Union at that time. And that flying on the Memorial Center pole. There was an article about displaying the flag that appeared in last week's Charlevoix News, if anybody's interested. Field and Greens Committee's efforts to rebuild the Little League ball field just west of us here at the City Hall have been picking up steam lately. over the weekend, they began work on the field fabric, rain and, rock installation, drain that should be. And rock installation, not just rain, although we haven't had that lately too. They're planning on mobilizing, to install the artificial field turf the week of September 18th. So good to see progress on that, and you seem to be ready for the progress we're making. The Heritage Center held the first of 3 scheduled open houses here at City Hall, on last Friday, between 6 and 9 p.m. 2 more are scheduled on the Fridays that are aligning with the 2 remaining stroll the streets of the season. So this coming Friday and the Friday after that, the Heritage Center will also give it for people to check it out. DPW and Utilities Director Doug Barnett has been out and about checking and working on trees for possible removal or trimming. And we look forward to bringing that matter to the commission soon. On Monday, the state inspector was here, and yesterday, conducting our annual EMS inspection for motor ambulances and policies and things of that nature. And we've got good reviews. We received a copy of the 2022 annual report from the Health Department of Northwest Michigan, which services our area, and that's available in the city clerk treasurer's office today if you would like to take a look at it. And just a reminder that next week, Boyne City schools begin their new school year. So we're encouraging everybody to be on the watch for revised traffic patterns and students going and coming to school. Gearing up to the Labor Day weekend, City Hall, we'll be having the annual drag race at the airport on Sunday the 3rd, and that means the airport will be closing the day before at noon, and then remaining closed until about 8 p.m. on Sunday. We will be closed here at City Hall on Monday the 4th for the Labor Day holiday. And let people know that we've got hazardous waste drop off, which is coming up on Friday and Saturday, September 8th and 9th. People have to make reservations for that, and that'll take place on we'll start doing that on the 5th. And then the following Saturday, on the 16th of September, we'll be holding our twice a year residential rubbish collection programs. And flyers for both of these events are available on the city's website here at City Hall. As was already mentioned, we do anticipate that the bubbler ordinance that was brought to the commission recently will be coming back at our next meeting on September 12th, as will be an update on the short-term rentals and possibly a recommendation regarding the Pearl Street Historic District. And then again, another reminder with regards to the Michigan Municipal League Convention, if anybody's interested in attending that. So. Commission has questions on these or other items, I'd be glad to try to address.
Question. Sure, sorry.
The commission will ask questions for you.
Oh, okay.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments? The manager's report.
Yeah, have you heard any word from our Vermont in regards to the marina? Is there any update there?
No, but I'll get, there's been some communications with Mike Morphy from them. They are making progress. They have been out and surveyed the site recently to work on their other plans regarding that. Getting more of an update at our next meeting.
No, said okay, appreciate it.
Just one, as far as tree trimming, removal stuff in the city, what mechanism do we have currently for people to, maybe bring to your attention that there's a concern on a tree?
Or I know, call City Hall.
We can advertise it over the social media and get the word out there. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So driving past the high school a few minutes ago, and I noticed that the whole parking lot is under construction. Is that anticipated to be completed before the first day of school? And where would everybody park if not?
That's not within our realm. Mike, have you heard anything from the superintendent?
I did happen to talk to Patrick Little last week during the team point. I don't know if he gave you an update on that as well too. I talked to him after the meeting. He indicated that it would not be complete by that time. Tim, do you have more on that?
Yeah, essentially the contractors are why they're behind, and it's out of their hands as to why they're behind. And, they are not. Ideally, the work would have been done before the school year began, but they're gonna throw it on a ball and make it, as usable as possible until the contractors are able to get the material they need to get in there to finish it up. They ran into some issues as they were going through the project, so.
Yeah, I was just concerned how kids are gonna be able to get picked up or where the teachers and staff will be parking.
Yeah, he didn't indicate any alternative routes. I'm assuming if there is, they would probably pump it out on social media, highlighting that through a GIS map or something like that. I think would be the best ideal for them to do.
Just curious, thank you.
I'm sure the superintendent's office would be responsible to any questions. Everybody, I'm sure everybody's got the same questions you have.
Great, thanks.
Can I ask? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I was just wondering about clarification of what you were just talking about, the trees. So I live on Bay Street and consumers trimmed several dead ones, but left many. So is that something that I could request that maybe they could take a look at that, or is this something different?
Mike, you want to answer that?
No, if you have any questions with regards to trees, we'd be glad to address those with you. If you can either contact myself or Mr. Barney. When you're leaving the meeting here today, what I would recommend is you just go down to my counter, your name, address, and phone number, and we'll have somebody back.
Okay, because the other day in a wind, probably 3 branches fell and people walk on Bay Street a lot. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions, like city manager? Okay, moving on. We have the reports of officer boards and standing committees. Included in that, the July 2023 financial statement. Commissioners, any comments or questions regarding the financial statement? Okay. Moving on, we have old business. Item A, we have 350 purchase recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On April 25th, the city commission approved the purchase of a new F-350 cab and chassis from Boyne City. The order was not able to be processed due to an unforeseen circumstance. The factory would not accept orders that early May, and Mr. Majors himself personally notified the manager and myself as I just had started there. No, we probably prior to that. The dealership has now been able to confirm the factory has allowed this truck to be ordered. 2024 has been ordered, and due to the delay in processing, there has been a slight increase to the already approved purchase price. So the current price came from Bob Mathers, which I believe one of the research that I did was became a little lower than another person. So the amount of $52,611.20. This is an increase of approximately 4.5% for the already approved $49,958.80. If approved, the city commissions, this expense will be charged to the Board Pool Capital Outlay accounts. This is 100970. And then be my recommendation to go ahead and approve this purchase for the 2024 F-350 dual wheel 4x4 pickup truck. About number 4, an amount not to exceed $52,611.10 for the quote. I will recommend the city manager execute that.
Are there any questions or comments from the public? Commissioners, any questions?
Is that 4.5% increase still within the budget? Does that count still look good?
Yes.
Anything else?
No.
Martin?
No, I got a question answered from Mike earlier. When I first saw it, I was asking for the second truck, and we saw, no, doing like, this is just the first.
So it's a limited to 2 originally were proposed and just 1.
Yep.
Correct. George?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. The 4.5% is supply chain. Affects us locally, low fashion.
Was Bob able to share any insight about what the market that looked like down the road?
He's frustrated to say the least, but not really. He's basically saying, I was hoping to get a date of build date when we actually see the truck. Because obviously we gotta get it sent out, get the plow and all that down, not, so he said it could be weeks, it could be months. Want to make sure they're trying to get this at least ordered and on the way.
I didn't repeat the motion.
I'll make a motion that the city commission award purchase order contract for 2024 Ford F-350 dual wheel overland pickup truck to Bob Anders for Boyne City in the amount not to exceed $52,611.20 per the quotation dated 8/17/2023. Further, I recommend that the city manager execute these documents.
Thank you, Jim. Is there a second? Support. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Jessica.
Lassiter.
Aye.
Nemecheck.
Aye.
Aye.
Flutie.
Aye.
Eastman.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, we have new business. Item A, the city attorney update. Mike?
Yes, late last week, we were advised by our current city attorney, Matt Cross, that he's leaving Plummer and Cooney, which is the firm that the city has contracted with for over 25 years to provide our attorney services. During most of that period, our lead attorney has been Jim Murray. He has his office here in Petoskey, as Matt as well too. My understanding of the city commission went out for bids and selected Plummer and Cooney a number of years ago, is that they like having multiple attorneys that work in various specialties available to them. They have other attorneys that help us with labor relations and other specialties, intergovernmental contracts, things of that nature as well too. So Matt Cross is leaving the firm. That'll be happening at the end of this month. He is going to another firm that's based out of Paris City, but it'll still be residing in the Petoskey area, is my understanding. Since that took place yesterday, I received communication, a phone call from Jim Murray, who is still again with Plummer and Cooney, advising us that our lead attorney, should we remain with Plummer and Cooney, would be Rhonda Stowers. Rhonda is located with Plummer and Cooney out of their Flint office. And we worked with her on a number of questions that have come before the city in the past. Jim is staying with the firm, but he is, my understanding is he's kind of scaling back his personal operations and will not be the lead attorney for us or for any municipality. There's two other communities in the area that use Plummer and Cooney as their legal representation that I'm aware of. One is the city of Petoskey, and the other one is the city of East Jordan. East Jordan just recently went out with proposals for attorney services, and they selected Plummer and Cooney, and Matt Cross was going to be their lead attorney as well too. Also served pretty much as a lead attorney for the city of Petoskey. My understanding is that Jim will not be returning as the lead attorney to any of those organizations. And I think both of them are going to be deciding what steps that they're going to have going next. My understanding, and this is all very preliminary, because all of us, all the three communities have got this information recently, is that East Jordan will be considering either remaining with Matt Cross with his new firm or possibly going up for bids. The East Jordan City Commission will be discussing that matter, kind of like we're starting to discuss it at their meeting in September. The impression I'm getting from the city of Petoskey is that they're going to use this opportunity to basically test the waters and go out for bids again for their attorney services. When I learned that East Jordan had gone out for proposals recently, I asked them to provide us a copy of the proposal of the document that they used to request attorney services. That arrived this morning, and I emailed that to the city commission so we can all begin to take a look at it. I haven't had a chance to review it in any depth, but it does look like a good sort of the framework if the city commission did choose to go out for services. I did provide the city commission also a copy of Rhonda Stowers' resume for kind of a bio, with regard, I guess, to the formal bio resume. So you had some more information with regards to her background, because we've used her for special projects, but not for general, as our main, city attorney, as either, Jim Murray has done, or Matt Cross the last year and a half or so. So this has all come up in the last days, basically as we put the agenda together, that's why there's not a memo to you, and we're getting information as we go along. The only other point of relevancy, and I don't know if you want me to get into that, and I provided that information to the city commission this morning, is what the hourly rates are for our city attorney. Some communities hire city attorneys on a retainer basis that covers a certain amount of hours and things of that nature. Boyne City has always, as far as I'm aware, has always gone directly on an hourly basis, plus the minor cost of materials, additional services and copy and things of that nature for extensive hours. So I'm bringing this to the city commission if you want to see if you had any questions or comments from me, if you have any initial directions, if you want to have further discussion with regards to this. Rhonda indicated she'd be glad to come up and visit with the city commission and or meet on Zoom or something of that nature. If you wanted to have some discussions with her prior to going out or deciding what you may wish to do. Short is, we've got a change coming up. We do have coverage for attorney services. We're covered in, for the foreseeable future, but the commission does have options. The city attorney is one of the two positions that the city commission hires directly. That's the city attorney and the city manager. So that's a bit of a background on the situation. Again, I know that you're getting hit with this all within the last few days. I apologize for that. But like I said, we just got to notice. And I had no indication that anything like this was coming up, or no communication from Matt or Plunkett that a change was pending.
Does anyone in the audience want to comment on the city attorney issue? If you do, please stand and state your name.
Jackie Malloy, 919 Lower Lake Drive. And interviewing these attorneys and the organizations in which you hire. I think maybe you want to review what they know about others and what's going on in America right now and in Canada. It's a big issue. It's a huge issue. There's safety concerns, environmental concerns. Fenton, Michigan, and I provided for you, I gave them an ordinance that how many meetings ago they banned. So we're just asking for residential right now, and I think you should find out if these attorneys know anything about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, commissioners, do you just want to ask questions? Tom, go ahead.
Sure, I think it's an opportunity for us to explore our options. And, you know, I like Matt Cross with him leaving, it's the perfect opportunity to do that. One Korean officers are local, but not really if she's being represented out of Flint. So that throws a little curveball into it, but really local is pretty easy to get around nowadays. I mean, with so on and so forth, so she could represent us well as she has had. So I want to explore all options. I would give it down on that.
Yeah, same here. We talked about this even a year ago. So I would be up for definitely exploring options. Matt has been a good contact for us. We can explore his new company and open up some, you know, some others to look at and consider. So I'm definitely on the exploring.
I think the appropriate thing to do is do a request for proposal and do that. And see if Matt Cross's new organization wants to throw a bid in, but I agree with the local thing. It's nice having an attorney to be able to swing in the office when we have a closed session and be able to pick their brain. Versus trying to organize Zoom. I think someone local is exactly what we need. The only thing that I would like is for Mike to try and come up with how many things we have pending currently that we're working on. With Matt Cross and have a solid game plan going forward, so we're not dropping the ball on these kind of situations that we're in.
There's that. Sure. Yeah, Tim brings up an excellent point, and I asked Matt about that to prepare a list for us on where he is on things and what we can do moving forward with regards to them. Who's gonna pick up and cover those items. So yes. We'll get that for the commission.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
George, I was reading in the request for proposal that he short form that the city attorney attends all the meetings. Is that true?
Where Scott Beatty was the city attorney, yes, he, did attend all, but from my experience. And that question came up, with the city over there, when they were looking at somebody, when Scott was retired. And they asked if our city attorney attends all of them, I said, no, only when we need them, so. Yeah.
I guess just from the standpoint that email you sent us Mike earlier in regards to the way we structure our billing versus most other municipal bodies, do the retainer structure, I would encourage us doing RFP with the current structure that we have now. I think that's financially the best option, is go that route first. I don't know what the other commissioners have, if they would be interested in just doing retainer. But I like the hourly rate structure.
They probably work both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
So Mike, you've got it figured out that once Matt Cross leaves the firm at the end of August, that we're plugging in Cooney's gonna maintain the same gentleman's agreement that we have with them now, because there isn't anything really we've signed in a number of years. So they're gonna continue as it is.
That is my understanding based on the discussions with both Jim Murray and Ronald Stowers, that they are available. And again, this doesn't affect operations with like over a diamond or anything of that, where we use them for labor services as well. So my understanding is that arrangement will continue until, and if the commission wishes to do something different.
Okay, well, I think we have a consensus of moving forward with the request for proposal for new firm or firm to represent the city. Yes. Yeah.
What I would like to do then, if it's okay with the city commission, is draft up a draft RFP and circulate that with the city commission. And make sure if there's something that you see on there, I'll probably reach out to other communities as well too, to see what other RFP examples are out there, just to make sure that I'm asking the right questions. But again, on your behalf, and then you have an opportunity to take a look at that so we can go out and get what you're looking for.
Yeah. Good. We're all in agreement? Yes. All right, moving on. We have a closed session request. Consider the request from City Manager Michael Keeney with closed session discussion of collective bargaining strategy as provided in MPL 15.323A of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public Act 317 and 1976. But before we do that, we could go to good of the order. I'm not sure how long it's going to be in our closed session. Sure. Commissioner, anything?
Yeah, I do. Scott, you may help me with this, but as liaison to the planning commission, it came before us, a certain piece of property that's actually zoned commercial. If housing would be an option on that piece of property. So, help me out, Scott. So currently housing is not a.
In that particular instance, that property is on regional commercial industrial. And in that district, housing is not.
So the question from the planning commission was, would the city commission be receptive to visiting, revisit that as to whether some form of housing could be allowed in commercial. An example, we as a planning commission, we discussed this a year ago, within the last year, in reference to the business part. And we chose not to take action at this point, but an example would be with a housing unit, maybe a multiple housing unit be acceptable, in the business park, maybe facing M75 out there by the surgical center. That's one example. Another example would be another piece of property in town that has some, future development process with, options. So I guess that's something you want the planning commission to explore.
I think that, considering the dire straits we are with apartment housing and just other housing in general, I think it would behoove us to at least look into, what options there are. I'm pretty sure I know what route you're talking about, and I really, collectively can't see, what that stands in the way of this town growing, commercial or industrial wise. But if we have an opportunity to, gain something, especially apartments, what we really are starting for. I think it's definitely something that we should at least explore. There's one of us sitting here that would say, yeah, that's good, let's do that. We haven't seen anything, but I definitely think that it definitely is worth looking into and considering options. And obviously there's some places that it's gonna make sense, some places that it wouldn't make sense. And so, yes, I would. Absolutely.
I would entertain any conversation in regards to housing within Boyne City.
Scott, would this just be for this particular piece of property, or now are they talking about one? Or would it be all commercial, industrial, zoning and?
I think it leads to much larger discussion, exactly how you want to address that. Do you want to look at the districts as they are and amend the language to allow uses in there? Or would you rather change the district to something that accommodates all of it? So there's two ways to approach it. We can have that discussion, and decide which is the best approach.
How long would it take you to get something like that prepared?
Well, we have to bring it to the planning commission for discussion, and then you have to develop the language, of, how you want to approach it. And then go through, the adoption process, public hearing process. So it will take months.
So is it appropriate then with the consensus of the planning commission to have the planning commission begin that discussion?
Yeah.
Good.
And I ask as the liaison to the planning commission, if you can notify the city commission, because that's a meeting that I would like to attend, the full discussion in regards to the planning commission.
Sure. And so now Scott has marching orders, so.
So I anticipate next month we'll have that begin this discussion.
Anything else? Under good of yours?
Yeah, I would encourage us to try and send a letter or something, email to John Moose. I've cornered him several times in meetings. Tom has cornered him several times in meetings. They seem to be willing to make a commitment to come. If we can get something official that says, hey, we're Boyne City, here's the official invite. Give us the official communication on a commitment as far as date and timeline, so we can continue the conversation on Lost on Lake, again, in relation to housing.
Yeah, I agree, and I had that conversation with them again at the Sioux, and, they're willing, you've got, I agree, with you, got to nail them down.
But when we take a lead on that?
Sure, right. Do we get a date set?
Fine. Martin?
Yeah, well, we've did you understand?
No, sir. No, sir.
We've talked about this a few different times, and it just kind of keeps, getting kicked down the way. But I'd like to officially try to put on our agenda a discussion about, surveying our public accesses. We've talked a lot about it, and it just doesn't seem to get done. And I think it's a big deal. And I think we need to address it and then address, even what was brought up last month about John Street and stuff, so. I'd like to see that. On the agenda moving forward. Maybe not, well, because it looks like that's gonna start getting back up, you know, south, but.
Maybe maybe have that with the EPB, so maybe the first meeting in October, we have that on the agenda.
Or why not, the second ones?
Well, it's just thinking of it being a new meeting, so I'll have to.
Oh.
So either.
Does the commission have a preference?
I don't care, if we just keep avoiding putting topics on noon meetings, then let's move our noon meetings, is my, but put it on a new meeting so we can take care of it, get the public notice out there, so anyone that has an interest in it can be involved. We've spent thousands of dollars on trying to put broadcast these meetings, so people can get involved. We gotta stop avoiding topics where they just go months and months and months down the road. Sugar, so.
I agree with you, Joe, on that.
Okay, all right, we'll see the second meeting. All right, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
For a second. Second. Roll call, please, Jessica.
Nemecheck.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Moody.
Aye.
Egan.
Aye.
Glassman. Motion carried.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would state just for the public, depending on what the discussion takes place in the closed session, we may come back with an action item on that afterwards. That may or may not happen, but just to make sure people are aware that might happen.
Oh, sorry.
To open.
Second. Or roll call, please, Jessica.
Conklin.
Aye.
Moody.
Aye.
Hayhammer. Lassiter.
Aye.
And Check.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, I'd like to turn it over to City Manager Michael Kane on a collective bargaining tentative agreement.
Yes, we've been in negotiations with the Aspen bargaining unit, which represents the city's DPW and water wastewater personnel. Their contract expired on March 31st, and we've had several negotiation sessions. And on August 15th, we reached a tentative agreement with the parties. It's a 3-year agreement, which provides an increase to their Christmas bonus. It provides for wage increases for 3 years of the contract, starting at 7% for this year, 4% in 2024, and 4% in 2025. There was a $300 signing bonus per employee that they would receive upon the execution of the agreement. There is an increase in the retirement program, which would increase the contribution into the MERS defined contribution program to 12%. Then there would also be two increases for uniforms, one for work uniforms for $150 per year for a cleaning allowance, and then an additional increase to the food allowance to $200 per year. And there was also an increase of their life insurance for increasing that to $100,000 a year. We're anticipating over the 3-year package that the increased cost will be about $112,000. And the union has ratified this agreement, and I'm bringing that to the city commission for their consideration today. If you would like to consider ratifying it, and if so, authorize the city clerk treasurer and myself to execute the resulting agreement after final review by our labor attorney.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Commissioners, any questions or discussion?
No, just, and glad we finally getting it put to bed, yeah. Good job to the staff, Mike, coming really great. Thank you.
Yeah, I second that for sure. So I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to ratify the tentative agreement with the collective bargaining unit and authorize city personnel to execute the necessary documents.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Is it city personnel on detail like? Yes, that's right. All right, any further discussion or any discussion? Roll call, please.
Moody.
Aye.
Hayhammer.
Aye.
Lassiter.
Aye.
And Check.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Yeah, good work. Okay. You ready? Yeah, I think we're ready for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.